So this is the Brown Tooth Gun Show. My name is JP Garcia, here today with the crew, Brandon, Elias, Austin, Menard. We are talking today about a very exciting thing that's happening at Sentry Manufacturing, which is one of the businesses out of Sentry Defense. And it is the launch, the official website launch and shipping of the product, Deadlock, right? So I can tell you locally, we've been anticipating this for a very long time, super excited, and just really want to get into it here. So first off, let's talk about Sentry Manufacturing, right? So a little bit of background. What is Sentry Manufacturing? How did this come about? How did you guys get the idea? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So for years, so I have a degree in chemical engineering. So I worked out in the plant since 2019. And it feels like ever since I started out there, every time we'd come home, ever since 2017, we've been going to the range and going over to Sentry. My dad brought me over there in 2017. We've been a huge, big supporter of the range. And it feels like ever since 2019, every chance I get, I'd bug Brandon about like, hey, if there's ever anything you want to need an investor for or something, let me know. And he's always like, oh, yeah, people would tell me that all the time. So bugged him for it for years. And then we got to be good friends.
Bought your first gun with me?
Yeah, I bought my first gun through Brandon in 2017. As soon as I could buy one, I bought one.
And did you take a max class after that?
That was not until
2021 or something.
Yeah, when I started at Sentry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
He took a concealed carry class from me, like even before you were 21.
Yeah, before I was 20. I took it when I was 20. And then so I could get my concealed carry license. So like everything I could do, I went and do,
Right.
Still was like a super like shooting noob. Didn't know much about guns, but like knew. I've always liked guns growing up, but good, super supportive gun family, super safe gun family. Me and my dad did a lot of hunting together.
Sure.
But just like never got into like guns in the capacity that we are now, like hunting guns and stuff. Didn't know a lot about ARs, didn't know anything about competition, anything like that. So we would go to the range and shoot together as kind of like our thing to do when I'd come back home from work in the Baton Rouge area. So, like I said, bugged him about it for years and was like, hey, if you ever want to do anything. Eventually we kind of, I think it was, we went to a Saints game, a preseason Saints game. So it was about this time.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Okay.
We went to a preseason Saints game and like kind of just like, was like, I was like, hey, reminder, like if you're ever like looking for an investor, like, I'd love to do anything I can for the range. Like I love it. I love the concept. I love the idea. I love what you guys have. And he was like, yeah, we're still, it's a family thing. And it's like, yeah, definitely get that. But we could maybe figure something else out. So that kind of jump started like, man, what could we figure out? And we, one day we sat down, I came back home, we went have lunch and we sat down, and he was like, what if we started a manufacturing company? I have all these ideas. Brandon had all these ideas.
Right.
And, you're an engineer at which point I was kind of like, crap, because I'm not that kind of engineer, but I was like, dude, if I want to do this, you got to figure it out. So, I was like, yeah, I mean, that would be really cool. So that kind of jump started it. We were like, we could figure it out is the thing is like, we're so passionate about it. And like, I wanted to get into the game, so bad. And, Brandon wanted to get these ideas, physical so bad that we were like, we're going to figure it out, whatever it takes.
Sure.
We're going to figure it out. So that's kind of how it came to be from my side. I don't know.
Yeah. Same thing. And, like you have ideas, every shooter has like this product that they own and they might love it, but they're like, man, it could be better if you do this. Right. Like, especially competitive shooters, right? Like we're constantly like, man, what if this back button was this way? And it's like, it only tailors you, but you're selfish and you're like, I want it.
Yeah.
But no, there's a couple things I'm like, man, this really could be a good idea, and see if people like it. And like, let's start up a manufacturing company and build our own stuff,
Yeah.
So, and build it the right way. Like, I hate things that cheap out on and like cut corners. It's like, no, I want it built the correct way. Because I do believe that people, they're not afraid to spend the money to get something good, but they want it to be right. They don't want to have to worry about it. They just want it to be built right and be done with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what our goal is, making sure that we get the correct components and they're built correctly and you never have to worry about them. They're 100% and go from there.
Makes sense. Okay, well, that's cool. So then that's background on Sentry Manufacturing, how it came to be. let's dig into it, right? Like, what's the deadlock? How so? And I'm trying to like ask because I clearly know what the product is, but for those who don't know, right? And I think what's going to happen a lot of times is people are going to, it's going to get out in the market, and people are going to say, "What is this deadlock thing?" And so hopefully they'll find stuff like your Twitter, your Instagram, and all that stuff, and then maybe they'll find this show, and then you guys can explain what that is, right? So I'm trying to ask questions as if I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. And
so what is it?
So so once we started, so we moved back home, whatever. Started working at the shop at Sentry Defense at the range, and then a couple months into it, we were like, all right, let's get this thing started. I was like, Brandon, what's the first one? And he was like, all right, here's my idea. I am tired of charging handles and AR-15s catching on stuff, and my idea is to build a safety into it in the form of a button in the back of it. That way it somehow can't come out of battery.
Okay.
And that was the idea. And he probably explained it a little bit better to me, but like, again, I was just like,
you're like brand new, right?
Dang. Yep, I can definitely do that, man. I can figure that out. Yep, I know what to do. And like went home and it was like, I don't know what to do, So so jump started, never touched CAD in my life. Like I said, I'm not that kind of engineer.
Right.
I've seen it used, but so jumped straight into like teaching myself CAD to try to figure this out.
So as an aside, you didn't have to take CAD as an engineer?
Not as a chemie, no.
Really?
No, not as a chemie.
Katie's a chemie, and she had to take it. But of course, we were in the ancient times, right? When we went through engineering school.
Yeah. So the CAD that she's referring to might have been like a plant based like manufacturing CAD.
Oh no, we were like rudimentary. No,
like
she and I were in the same AutoCAD
Oh
class.
yeah, see, no, we didn't have to do that. Yeah.
Well, because back in the ancient days when we were engineering school, there's no specialized one.
In modern day, like, not to get on a tangent, but like modern day chemies, like, don't, like, the old guys like hated us because they were like, I don't know anything, It's like, we really don't. Like, they don't teach us anything anymore, So I wish CAD is like an awesome like for anybody to learn, because like when you have an idea, you can just go mock it up, and like even if you can't do anything about it, you could give it to somebody that can,
Mm-hmm.
So started teaching myself CAD. And just started like every day. I would get home from work and stay up until like 2 a.m, just like trying to learn CAD, taking classes and trying to design this product. So eventually, I got the body of the thing designed, and then it was to figure out, how do we make a charging handle that doesn't come out of battery until we want it to, and has this button mechanism in the back that essentially acts like a safety.
Right.
Just kind of trial and error with CAD, figuring out designs, and then eventually figured out, hey, we can use the button as the safety in sense, where when you try to open the wing of a charging handle, on a normal charging handle, when the wings open, they don't hit anything, right? They just fold into the charging handle itself.
Right.
And then, so I was like, what if when you try to open it, that's what they hit. They hit that button. And then once that button gets out of the way, they are able to open. So that's kind of the idea that sparked it. Mocked it up in CAD for about 2 to 3 months. And basically had a rudimentary functioning design that worked in CAD. It obviously had like pieces inside of each other that were not real. But that's what I had. So once we had that, and it was like, hey, look, we could show this to somebody and they would understand what we mean.
Sure.
We took that's when we took the product over to Primary, and Brandon was like, look, I got these people. I've worked with them for years. They're awesome. They're going to be the ones that are going to be able to take this and say whether or not our idea is like worth a dang or not.
Right.
So that was also like
possible.
Right?
Like you can actually machine it.
Yeah. So that was a super like nervy time for us too, is like we put in all this work, and like not to put it in like that sense, but like my wife and I like dropped our whole life, like, and just like moved over and like on this idea of like, hey, look, we're going to do this thing. And like, she's always, believed in me and believed in Brandon and I. So it's like, we have this idea, and now we're going to take it to these people that are going to tell us whether or not we can even do this or not.
Sure.
So we took it over to Primary. We sat in their conference room, and I pulled up the CAD file on the TV, and their design engineer and the two owners sat there, and I pulled it up, kind of showed them how it works. Like, here's what I did. Again, it's like, I don't know CAD. Like, I'm just showing you like the concept of it. And then it was just quiet. And me and Brandon were kind of just like, oh no. And so they're just looking at it or whatever. And I'm like, it can't be done. Like, it's too complex. Like, it can't be machined or whatever. And the design engineer over there, he's a gun guy. The owners, they're gun people, but like not as much as like the design engineer's a gun guy. Like, we're a gun guy, so like
right.
he gets it. And so it's very quiet. And his name's Cody. Shout out Cody if you ever see this. Love you, man.
We'll have to send it to him so he can actually watch
I will
it.
send it to him. It got quiet, and like he looked at us and he was like, "This is it."
He's like, no, he's like, is this patented? It's gonna be.
Yeah.
And that was like the second person, because like the CAD guy. Whenever we bought SolidWorks, it was the same thing. It's like they came over and like they all signed the NDAs and things like that. But
right,
he was kind of like looking at it, and he's like, y'all have this patent, right? We're like, yeah,
of course. What do you mean?
Yeah, we have this patented.
out with you. Yeah, so I had some trouble with the CAD. It was so funny too, because I was having problems with CAD, and I was like telling Brandon one day, I was like, dude, I'm so frustrated with this thing I can't figure out in CAD. And in through the front door walks our CAD rep from New Orleans. Never, like, I met him on the phone once.
Right.
Like, perfect timing, and he's got his like the guy that helps people with CAD with him. And I was like, oh, you guys in the back now. I was like, help me figure this out. So we showed it to them, and the guy was like, he's like, I know guns, and like, this is like good. He was like, this is patented? And me and Brian are like, oh yeah, absolutely. Of course it is. What are you talking about?
Patented.
So we showed it to Primary, and Cody was like, he's like, did you guys patent this? And we're like, we're working on it. And he was like, dude, this is it. Like you fix the problem. And so the owner is not a gun guy. He's he knows guns, but he's thinking more from the machining side.
Right.
And so he's kind of like, yeah, they did it, but boy, we have some work to do. And it's like, yeah, we definitely have some work to do. We know that. So
No, Austin knew that. Like, I thought, like, hey, we're almost done. Austin did the CAD thing, so like we're ready to go
just
now.
Make it. Like, just go make it right now.
He's like, no, this CAD program is horrible.
Yeah. So they.
That's whenever I realized, like, Austin did not know what he was doing.
Like, I would send Brandon pictures of like the CAD files, and he was like, dude, that is so cool. Like, you did it. And like, we brought it to them, and they were like, no, this is terrible.
What the hell did you do?
Like, you have like pieces of metal that are going inside of each other.
So like, this is like kind of like with the CAD file. So we were playing like with Play-Doh and like Lego sets, you know?
Oh man.
So this is a 3D print of the actual original CAD file. I know it's probably kind of hard to see, but it's very blocky, and like, like I can take the wings off. Just
you know what you should do? You should put pictures of this on the Instagram. We'll tell people to go to Instagram or Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, we do have a video on our Instagram that shows Primary making these, and at the end of the video, there's a progression of this, and then the first ever metal prototype, and then the finished product. So yeah, definitely go Sentry Manufacturing on Instagram. Go check out that video. You can see this and a little bit closer.
Also post it on Twitter because we know
Elon's awesome.
Because
we love Elon.
Yeah, they don't hate us.
Yeah. So we'll definitely get it on our socials.
And to kind of like talk about the button whenever you kind of like brush through it. So the reason why we thought about the button in the back originally was because that's naturally like where your thumb hits. Like whenever you charge your charging handle, your thumb naturally kind of falls back there, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, man, if there'd be like something right here, that way we can. It's not an extra step, right? It's not something you have to unlock then rack the gun open. It's just your thumb naturally presses the button or in the back of the charging handle.
Right.
So all we did was just add a button back there. That way it depresses it, and then you can work the charging handle like normal. If you don't press that button, it doesn't come out of battery.
Got it.
Right. And if you're running around with chest gear or gets caught up on slings a lot of times, like if you're wearing a sling, the sling will get wrapped around it, and then all of a sudden the gun gets taken out of battery, has malfunctions. In and out of vehicles, like we used to bring rifles back and forth a lot, not just like throw them in the passenger seat or like in between the seat and the center console.
Right.
And charging handle was always getting caught up on something.
Sure.
So like I know police officers have the same issues because they carry rifles in their units all the time, right? They have like little racks and stuff in their units, and that's very useful. But like getting in and out still has the same issue,
Right.
So it definitely solves that problem to where you don't have to worry about your gun coming out of battery, or ejecting around and messing with the gun whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. And for what it's worth, the patent is already done.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
It
So
is.
this don't get any ideas, folks. This thing is already under patent protection.
Yeah.
So
So that was kind of the preliminary thing, and like Brandon kind of jump started it. So that's the whole idea behind it, is that the charging handles get stuck on things, and something that we knew that we were going to hear, and that we really actually haven't heard it yet, but we know we will hear it.
Right.
Is that we created a problem? We created a solution looking for a problem.
Okay.
Right. That this is just like this is not needed. You guys just made an extra step, right?
Right.
Which is, to some people it might be, and that that opinion doesn't hurt our feelings. But the people that we've shown it to, even in like the conceptual phase, that have spent enough time with rifles, they're like, oh yeah, this is, you guys fixed a problem.
Right.
And it also, something to realize is that charging handle manufacturing companies have known that this problem existed, and they've tried to fix it, but they haven't figured out how to. Again, we won't name names and stuff, but there's certain companies that have designed their charging handles to where the wings of the charging handle sit at 90 degrees instead of like that kind of forward cant that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
They sit at 90 degrees, and if something hits them, they will go past 90 degrees to allow something to slip past them. It's even in the description of the product that, hey, if something catches on this, it'll just slip past it. But if it actually snags it, it's still going to pull it out of battery. And then what you have is this charging handle that when you go to charge it, you're like past 90 degrees trying to pull this thing out. So it's very awkward to do.
Odd to
And
do.
then also, what else slips off of it? Your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. So they, and these are some not small name companies. So like they've known the problem has existed. They just haven't figured out how to fix it.
Got it.
So when we've shown this to police officers, to military personnel, even like tier 1 guys, that, special forces, they've said like, yeah, like this is, you fix the problem.
Yeah,
you
amazing.
fix the problem. And then another kind of before we get like really into everything about the charging handle and what it does, another thing that we hear pretty frequently is that well, if your training is correct, you don't have this problem, which is somewhat true. When you
so do you train putting it into the car,
That's
and
the
do you
thing.
That's the
train
thing. Yeah,
your
it's-
clothes to not get
Right.
around?
and that's what we hear is like it's a training, it's an issue with the training if they're getting their charging handle snagged on things. And it's like, okay, even if that is your point of view, you can't say for certain that when S hits the F, that your training is going to be 100% perfect. We hope it is, and that's why we train, right?
Sure.
But accidents happen. So why not just give yourself an extra step of protection that doesn't require any additional new training to learn, right?
Yeah.
Like we said, our hand normally falls on the back of the charging handle. So if you're charging the gun that way, it doesn't require any new steps. And then additionally, you're really only charging the gun when you need to. So it's not like it's a manipulation of the rifle that you're having to do frequently.
Yeah.
So it's like if it comes out of battery from a normal charging handle, now you have to fix it
Right.
with the charging handle. So if you don't ever come out of battery, you don't have to worry about hitting the button ever because the gun's not coming out of battery, right? So the two things we haven't heard about the problem looking for a solution yet, or solution looking for a problem yet. We have heard the training thing, which again we take everything as constructive criticism, and it's like, yep, I understand the point you're coming from, but what does it hurt? Let
me pause you there, right? Because so I've never taken tactical classes. Like, I am a pure competitor, right? 3-gunner, right? And I haven't done 3-gunning a lot in the past several years, right? Just because of availability. But I did a lot of 3-gun when I lived in Houston, right? So educate me, I guess, on what the training is around not having your charging handle come out of battery, because that's foreign. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Whenever if you're at strike ready, so if the gun is like underneath your armpit like this, and you're going to like push the gun out, if you're angling the gun into your body, it can grab. So a lot of times they'll make sure like, hey, the gun's straight up and down to where the charging handle's not grabbing something.
Okay.
But you still have like loose gear and like loose things around. So yeah, if you just now strap on a chest rig and go out there and try to do it, it's probably going to grab on something because you're not used to having extra stuff on your body, right? So training with the gear, you're like used to having that extra material, so they'll push the gun out a little bit, but it doesn't stop it from catching accidentally.
So okay, so here's a follow-up question then. Is the strike ready position to have it straight up and down, right? I'm assuming that that's what it means, right?
Yeah.
Other than having the charging handle not catch on something, is there a reason why you want it straight up and down? Like, does it help you catch your sights quicker? Because to me, as a competitor, that wouldn't matter to me.
Yeah,
you know?
It doesn't like matter. Like you wouldn't want it to have it angled into your body to where it does catch something, right?
Right.
You just don't want it to catch anything. That's the end goal. So
the reason why you have to have training to hold the gun straight up and down is because the gun was never designed to not come out of battery and catch on things.
Yeah, you're getting it.
Yeah. So
it's like we fixed your problem.
So essentially now people, use these, right? And we're hoping that this catches like wildfire and goes crazy, right? The whole idea of having to train yourself to keep a gun straight up and down, which is preposterous, right? I mean, I don't know. And like all the tactical people are going to probably shit on me. It's okay. I don't do tactical. I don't know anything about it. But the point is, it's like you're training yourself to do something because you are trying to make sure that the gear works, right? It's a gear problem. It's not necessarily an efficiency problem.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So yes. So now the circle is now complete for me. It's like you guys have fixed the gear problem.
Yeah. So we have a very good friend who does like 30 times more training than we do. Maybe not as much as Brandon has done. And I'm like you, like I've done it.
Right.
But I'm pretty close to a purist. I understand the concept, but I'm not anything to shake a stick at when it comes to tactical training.
Right.
But I understand. I have enough training to understand where these people are coming from.
Sure.
So we have a friend who does it a lot. It's like the way that I play golf and the way that you guys shoot, he does tactical training.
Right.
So like that's what he does. So we gave him some prototypes to bring with him because he gets in front of some pretty big names and he trains with some pretty low drag people, right? Mm-hmm. So he brought it to an event that they went to at a pretty prestigious event, tactical training thing. I don't really know what you would call it, and presented it to them. And half the guys were like, "Yeah," and half the guys were like, "Training issue." If that's a thing, it's a training issue. And like half that said training issue before the end of it had charging handle snags. Yeah. And our buddy was just sitting there like.
But I mean, it's akin to this, right? It's akin to this. It's like if you had a holster, right, and you were drawing from a holster, say, right, and you have to have your hand in such a way to grab the gun. Like, okay, you have to train yourself to say, cant your hand forward when you draw, because the way your holster is positioned, it doesn't allow you to get a good grip on the gun. Yeah. Right. And it's like, to me, you're saying the same thing, right? It's like, no, you should be able to draw the gun in any position.
Fix the gear.
And this is that, right? Because it's like, I can only imagine that if you're in a real situation, I've never been in a real situation, but the last thing you're going to think about is like, oh, hey, is my gun pointed straight up and down?
And that's the point that like the training scar people that I would make to them is like, I respect all of your training and I definitely respect and understand where you're coming from, but you don't know what's going to happen when you're at 180 beats per second, beats per minute heart rate, and you have adrenaline coursing through your body. You might miss it by half a degree of an angle, and your charging handle catches your body armor, and you go to present that gun, and you have a dead gun, and now you're dead. Yeah. So it's like, what is it hurting? You know? So you can still train in the normal way, but all we've given you is an additional layer of protection.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you as a competitor, like if this ever happened, because it never happened to me in 3-gun, right? But I can tell you if it did, it would only happen once. Yep. And I would Dremel off the side of the charging handle. It's like, okay, this is never happening again.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's usually like the people that say that is because there's so many new products that come out that are that, right? We see it all the time in the shop, and people come in like, hey, did you see this new thing? And the first thing I'm usually like, there's no reason for this, right?
Right.
And like, you just don't want to accept it because a lot of times it is bullshit, right? Like it's just extra material that someone's trying to make $1 off of, and it's not like an actual necessity. So until you start using it and you actually give it a fair shake, and you're like, okay, like, yeah, I do see the pros and cons of this, or like, yeah, this is needed, or it is more helpful,
right? Right.
Then you can actually start doing it. So that's where a lot of those guys come from, is they just see different products all the time, and they're like, I don't need this extra thing. You know, I don't want to rework everything that I have in order to like make this product work it. Right. Like we see it with red dots all the time. Like red dots 100%. Come out and they're like, well, I don't want to switch over to red dots because I got to relearn how to shoot a gun. It's like, no, you don't. Like it's easier.
The same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So why not just get one and you know, go with it? But people are afraid to change. Yeah. Right. Like that's the whole thing. Yeah. So it's the same concept.
Well, and to me, I think it's almost like people getting new base pads on their mags. Yeah. Like I can tell you, as you know, how many people walk up, hey, I just got these new base pads. Like, awesome. It's like, you need to get them too. It's like, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll take it under consideration, because like
it's the same thing.
It's the same exact thing. Like I never pay attention to it. And I can understand where people would think that this is that, right? Yeah. But this is a different thing.
That's right. Yeah. It's like, we see that all the time. Like, you know, this is going to be so much better. And it's not really that better. Right. Like my stuff's already working, so I'm just going to keep it like that. Yeah. Like there's no benefit to adding something else or buying something.
So then on the flip side, from a training perspective, then is it, and again, I'm not a tactical guy. So is there any, I guess, training faux pas or whatever by actually having to push the button in? Or
no, like,
does that break something in tactical technique?
Typically, like your thumb's already back there. Okay. And even if it doesn't hit it, like if I put pressure on the wing and then press the button, it unlocks. Okay. So like if I first hit the wing, like, oh, I need to charge this gun, and it's like, oh, I forgot about the button, I can easily just press it and it overcomes it. Okay. It's not like it locks up. Right. And that was like part of the design. That took like months and different prototypes of doing that, because I didn't want it that way. Sure. There was one time where the angle of it was, whenever we put pressure on the wing, you couldn't overcome the button. Okay. Right? You had to release pressure of the wing, then press the button. And it's like, I don't want that. Right. Like I want it to easily just press the button and then it unlocks. You know? So that angle had to be perfect, because if it's like inverted, I wouldn't want it to do that. I wouldn't want to lock up the gun.
Sure. Right? Sure. So, okay. So then I guess taking a step back then, in a tactical situation, and I don't know this, you know, when you're using a rifle in a tactical situation, when would you run the slide? Because I can tell you, in competition, right, you never want to go dry. Like you would reload before you go dry.
Same thing in anything else, right? Like you never want to go dry in that way. And the only time you run that is like malfunctions, or hey, I need to lock the gun open. There's very few times that like we're actually going to use the charging handle. Right? Like if we do go dry, then you press the bolt lock, because the bolt's already back, right? Got it. Okay. Or you change out magazines and leave it alone. Okay. You know, like you don't want to start messing with the gun, with the action of the gun, because then you start messing it up. Like I see more issues with that. Like people, whenever they do rack the gun, like it's working, leave it alone, right? Like stop messing with the action. Yeah. So there's very few times that you do need to do that.
So it's very seldom you'd actually have to do it during action.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And that's why, like, another thing is like the people that are like, oh, well, I don't, you know, I've learned so much on this other one, I don't want to relearn it. It's like, yeah, but you're not running the charging handle like every time you use the gun. Right. Like you charge the gun with it and that's it. And then malfunctions. And then with malfunctions, it still works the same way. Like another fear that people had was like, oh, well then I'm gonna have to like unlock the charging handle, and then when I go to like run the gun, you know, to make sure it's clear, I'm gonna have to keep unlocking the gun. But Brandon can show you that once you unlock it,
once you unlock the gun itself, like once I press the button, I can take my thumb off of it and I can still work the gun. Okay. Right? So like as long as I keep pressure on the charging handle, it's okay. If I let go of pressure, now it won't unlock. Okay. Right. So once I keep pressure on it, it keeps the little latch unlocked, and I can just keep running back and forth.
Got it.
So it still works like a normal, like a traditional charging handle as far as clearing malfunctions.
Got it.
So
So like under stress, because that's, I mean, that's a big thing, right?
Yep,
People
exactly.
don't want to have to retrain their stress response.
And that's that's the only argument that like I can see is like, oh, wow, like clear malfunctions, I don't want to have to relearn. It's like, you don't. It still works the same way.
Right.
So that's the button concept. That's where that came from. We came from
That.
this. And again, we have pictures all over our social media. I know we won't be able to see it too great, but we have our modern Deadlock charging handle here. Again, we have pictures all over our social media. So that we kind of talked about the button feature, and I think we got the concept of that. But the other thing that we wanted to do besides designing a charging handle that had this built-in safety and fix this feature is that we wanted to build the best charging handle on the planet.
Right.
And in order to do that, the button feature was just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
So we have about 6 features that are built into this charging handle. 2 of them unique, and the rest of them basically just doing better than everyone else in the simplest form. I think the first one that, while we're on the button topic, we'll just cover that. So the button, right? So we designed the button. It's there, and you have to hit it to unlock it. So people complain about it. They're like, hey, I'm not going to buy your charging handle because I'm not using this button feature. And we're like, hey.
Especially departments, right? Like you have some guys that, like, let's say if you have 16 guys like on a team or something, and there's 12 of them that really like it. But then there's 4 that are like, well, I don't want to use it, you know? And especially if you get into like higher teams, like, let them do whatever they want to, and everybody's their own person, like big boy rules. We have an option for that.
So it's like, I'm not going to use your button. It's like, hey, well then guess what? You don't have to. So we designed the charging handle to where they all ship with an additional roll pin. And it's going to be very hard to show on camera, but essentially there's a hole on top of the button. You push the button forward, and we give an additional roll pin, and you actually pin the button forward.
Okay.
And now the button is pinned forward permanently, and the charging handle operates like a normal charging handle.
Got it.
So you never have to hit the button to unlock the charging handle.
Right.
So again, when we're going to talk about the other features. So if you like all the other features, but you're like, dude, I'm not touching your button thing. It's like, you don't have to. We're going to give you both options without having to make 2 different models.
Yeah.
Right. So we all ship them all with an additional an additional roll pin in order to pin that button forward. And now you have a normal charging handle. You don't have to hit anything to unlock. It's just like a normal charging handle.
Well, and I can tell you, as a 3 gunner, that's where I'd want.
Yeah. We gave it. We touched base at SHOT Show with a couple of strictly rifle competitors and 3-gun shooters, and that's exactly what they said. First thing was like, oh yeah, I'm pinning it. It's like, yeah, would love for you to do that.
Sure.
So we actually had somebody from Maxim's team that ran it in 3-gun, ran a prototype in 3-gun.
Okay.
And so we're still waiting to hear some feedback on that, but we actually did have one of our prototypes that got ran in a 3-gun competition.
Well, the fact that you haven't heard anything is probably good, right?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, like, as a competitor, if it didn't work, you'd hear about it.
Yeah,
So
instantly.
Probably still living in that gun. So we talked about the button, and now so that we also have what we call the override feature. So if you don't want to use the button, pin it forward, and now you have a normal charging handle. So that's another unique feature. So the button feature is our first unique feature. The second distinctly unique feature that we built into this charging handle is what we're calling truly ambidextrous. Every charging handle on the market nowadays is claiming to be ambidextrous. You look at it everywhere, ambidextrous, ambidextrous, ambidextrous. But they're not actually ambidextrous. When they say that they're ambidextrous, all they mean is that you can use the left or the right wing to use their charging handle. But if you look at their design, the latch that latches into your upper receiver is built into this left wing from behind. So your non-ejection side wing and your latch that holds into your upper are one component. They're one piece. So when you operate the left wing on a normal ambidextrous charging handle, it obviously opens the latch because they're one piece.
Correct.
Your right wing, all your right wing does on a normal ambidextrous charging handle is open your left wing. So when you hit the right wing, the left wing opens, which therefore opens the latch.
Correct.
So it's not actually ambidextrous. Your right wing's purpose is not to open the latch, it's to open the left wing.
Right.
So what that means is that during hard use, or if you were to smash your charging handle into something and you break some component of that left wing, or God forbid, break the entire left wing off the charging handle, you don't have a charging handle anymore because that latch is coming with it.
Right.
So, and people are again going to say like, that's preposterous. Like, who's breaking charging handles? And it's like, hey man, it actually happens. Like, it happens. And if it doesn't happen to you, then maybe you're not that guy that needs it. So, you know,
they had a charging handle that roll pins were coming out of. And
I had one of those.
Yep, you had one. So the second the roll pin comes out, the wings come off, and all the springs go flying out the charging handle. Right.
Yeah.
So then it's done.
And I can tell you, I haven't competed rifle in many years. It was my home defense rifle, and you know, I probably put maybe 200-300 rounds, you know, on it before this thing happened. It was a brand new charging handle.
Yep.
And so equipment malfunctions.
Oh yeah, it happens.
Right? Yeah,
it
it's
happens.
a real thing.
Yep. So we designed what we call what we're calling really true. We haven't seen one yet, so we're calling it the first truly ambidextrous charging handle.
Right.
Both wings, the left and the right wing, and the latch are 3 independent pieces.
Okay.
So the sole purpose of the wings is to open that latch independently. So your left wing opens the latch independently, and your right wing opens the latch independently, meaning that you can break either of these wings off of the charging handle and it still works.
Okay.
Because they're all independent of each other.
Got it.
So that gives you the capability, one, to have a wing broken off the gun, but it also gives you a more seamless and smooth operation of the charging handle, versus like if you take a normal charging handle, that left wing will be very smooth, and then that right wing is kind of rigid and tough because you're having to overcome, one, the right wing's spring and the left wing's spring because you're opening both of them.
Right.
So it's a more seamless, very fluent movement, but it also gives you that protection if you were to happen to break one of the charging handles. And with a charging handle like we built that locks, you know, there is a more distinct possibility of breaking this thing, because if you jam it into something, it's not just going to fly open like a normal charging handle. It's going to stay in place.
Right.
So there's a little bit more distinct possibility that you could possibly break it.
Right.
Now, on that topic, we tried and failed to break one of these wings. We know that, so everything's made of 70-75 grade aircraft grade aluminum.
That's actually a charging handle that we tried to, because you can see the
So
aluminum on it.
It's very hard to see, but on the edge, I won't be able to see it. But it's all the like anodizing has worn off because we beat it to hell and back.
And it's still in our our shotgun that we use for self-defense.
Yeah, like we still trust it. So
yeah,
we tried to break it. We couldn't. The weakest point in this charging handle will be the pins, and the pins can take 2,000 pounds of force.
Okay.
So the aluminum's not going to break.
Right.
The pin's not going to break. So we actually believe, and we haven't tried it yet, and it's going to sound bad, but it's actually the best case scenario, is that the thing that is going to break first is actually going to be your upper receiver.
Okay.
But like we couldn't even do it.
Right.
We couldn't break anything, and we were hitting it against a metal door frame as hard as we possibly could, and we couldn't get it to break.
Yeah.
So, and again, our challenge to people that we send it to, and we want these guys to test it, you know, the influencers and stuff, is like,
try to break it.
Try to break it.
Yeah.
We want to see what it takes to break this thing.
Yeah.
Because we think that you're going to be pretty impressed at what it takes to break it. And then even then, if you do, and it just happens to break the left wing off the gun, off the charging handle,
The right wing will still work.
it still works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's our truly ambidextrous feature. And then that's the button feature. So
It also has all independent springs too. So it's not like one spring operates both wings. Some of them do have that. So if one of the wings break off,
Right.
that spring doesn't work that's connecting the two.
Got it.
So it's more parts and more springs. So it's a little bit more expensive to manufacture, but that's what we wanted.
But that's what you're getting, right?
Yeah, that's what
you want.
Yeah.
That's why you're paying a premium price for it.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's our two truly unique features. We believe that we're the first ones to do those. Well, we know we're the first ones to do the safety feature. We haven't seen a charging handle out there that has a truly ambidextrous design like we have.
How much does it cost? You mentioned cost. How much? Does it cost?
$169.
$169.
Is what we're getting into market with.
Plus all the shipping and whatever things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like $10 more than your modern premium charging handle.
Got
and
it.
we're giving you
Yeah, all of this
30
stuff.
times more features.
Yeah.
So next biggest topic of conversation in the market nowadays is gas defeating properties.
Okay.
It's all the rage. Everybody's building gas defeating charging handles. I have had charging handles that have been purely made for gas defeating properties, and I can't run them in some of my guns because of tolerance issues.
Okay.
The addition of O-rings or any kind of gasket and extra parts actually limits the compatibility with other makes and models.
Okay.
So the problem is that there's a specific one with an O-ring on the bottom, and when I would go to charge it, it would hit the top of my lower receiver. So basically, almost where the buffer tube is.
Okay.
It would hit that, and the charging handle would get stuck, and you would have to rip it past that. So it was like, man, it's not compatible with what I'm using, and I'm using like really nice standard mil spec parts.
Right.
So we set out to design gas defeating properties that held their properties from a purely mechanical design.
Okay.
Which was like, man, how are we going to do that? So what we came up with, us and the folks at Primary, is that we have the charging handle has the highest shelf of any charging handle in the market.
Put it on this one right here. So you can see at the top of the upper receiver, and the charging handle is like all one piece. So it's
Okay.
like flush all the way across.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So it seals off the upper receiver mechanically. There's no O-ring or anything like that. It's purely that high shelf and the actual seal of the charging handle, how far it's going into the sides of the upper receiver, that gives it its gas defeating properties.
So
And-
is it a metal on metal type
Yes.
seal?
Yeah, it's a metal on metal seal. There's no additional rubber anything, because the problem with that is that, one, compatibility issues, and two, rubber will wear out. No matter, even if it's like some, I used to do. That's what I did. I did rubber science in the chemical industry. That's what I did. It doesn't matter what it's made out. Eventually, it will wear out. The most high tech material that in the modern synthetic rubber is your gaskets on your windows in your car.
Okay.
That's like as high tech as it gets.
Okay.
That's what I used to make. And they wear out eventually.
Sure.
Because of ozone. Ozone eats everything. Combustion gases are like 50 times worse than ozone.
Sure.
They will eat that rubber eventually, no matter how nice of a rubber it is, vulcanized, whatever, it doesn't matter. Eventually it's going to eat it, and it's going to rot it, and it's going to start to flake away. So you're going to lose your gas defeating properties because your O-ring's going to fail.
Okay.
With a mechanical design, you never lose your gas defeating properties. As long as this charging handle is in your gun, your gas defeating properties remain inside of there with the charging handle.
So here's a question then, like if you have it all mechanical, like so it's metal on metal that makes a seal. You have to have a gun or an upper that's built to a certain spec. Then,
Mil spec.
Right? So if it's mil spec, it's good. If it's not mil spec, then
There's a chance it might not fit.
Okay.
But that's the thing is with mil spec is that it's you're designing stuff for mil spec because we're targeting an audience that's military based, right?
The only time it doesn't work, like if you look at this upper receiver, the rail stops here, and most mil spec will stop here. We've had one company that didn't. They machine their own uppers, and they wanted to put the rail all the way back to the back of the upper receiver.
Okay.
Like almost where the charging handle goes. And if you look at our charging handle, the wings are actually have
Like
high
wrap
shelves
around.
on them. Yeah, the wings wrap around the upper receiver.
Okay.
Right. So it wouldn't lock all the way back in because those rails were hitting the wings.
Got it.
Right. There's one company, we tested them on every other one, and never seen an issue. And it's not for any like pro. They just designed the upper like that for looks. That's all it was.
Got
Like
it.
you're never gonna mount anything back here because you can't actually use that rail mount because the charging handle is sitting right there.
Right.
Right. So like you can't mount an optic right here.
To
You
get
can't.
under it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't lock up. Like if you put a optic right there, the charging handle wouldn't operate. Like it couldn't latch into the upper receiver.
Okay.
On a standard charging handle, right? So you would never put something right there. It's just for looks.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
So any mil spec upper, it's going to fit into, and it's designed to mil spec specification. So that's the.
Oh, I was gonna say, and the nice thing about that, right, is that that's not a wear part. So,
No.
like, if it fits up and it seals,
It
it's
lasts
sealed.
forever. That's the goal. Is that we want it. We want to make a product that lasts forever.
Sure.
So as long as the charging handle is in the gun, your gas defeating properties, and again, Sentry Manufacturing on social media and our website, we have a video testing these gas defeating properties against a couple of different makes and models, and we've tested them against these gas defeating charging handles, and we do outperform them. And people that have ran our prototypes, law enforcement departments, and just like guys that put a lot of rounds down range, it's like world of difference, especially indoors, because you can see it.
Right.
You can physically see that there's no gas coming back. So it's kind of incredible how tight of a mechanical seal ourselves and Primary were able to achieve. So we're super proud of that.
Sure.
So that's another great feature. The other one that we give you is the gas key contact point. So at the front of your charging handle, this is called your gusset at the gas key contact point. It's a 45-degree angle. Most charging handles are a radius, so they're like a semicircle. A radius is the second weakest mechanical structure you can have. So when you see charging handles fail, most of the time you'll see them crack right here. They break, and that comes from either a lot of use, so a lot of wear pulling charging handle, or people will drop the bolt, like Brandon will show you, with the charging handle back.
So you see how the bolt's back right now, and the charging handle is kind of free. And if they have it like halfway, especially the worst, like all the way back, it kind of catches it very soon. But they have it about halfway, and then they release the bolt, and it kind of slams against that key, right? You keep doing that, especially with like an H3 buffer, H2 buffer. This one has an H2 in it. Over time, it just ends up cracking and creates a stress point.
If you did that like normal rifle shooters, and you took their gun and pulled their charging handle out like he just did, and you were like, hey, I'm gonna drop your bolt on it, they'd be like, please don't do that. Like, it's gonna break my charging handle. I'd probably say you do it 10 times with a normal charging handle, it's gonna break. It's gonna crack.
Oh, really?
Like this one, I like, how many times have I demonstrated that to people in my gun? I'll sit there and do it all day. It's never gonna break.
Wow.
I still don't want to say never.
Well, then I've never known that. I probably have.
Yeah. So this one it's much stronger. We don't have an actual like percentage, but we know it's over 30% stronger.
Sure.
So that's and again, I'm definitely not going to claim that we're the first ones to do that. It's been done before, but it's just a better design.
Sure.
That feature are all of the contact points on the charging handle. So the front of the wings and the button have a super aggressive texturing on it. I have cut myself multiple times on this, showing people how aggressive it is. Like having it in battery and then like showing them like, hey, look, you can't take it out of battery, and I smash my hand into it, and like it'll cut you. It's so aggressive, and like that sounds like a bad thing, but like when you're wearing gloves and stuff, you don't want it to slip. So so we have the aggressive texturing, and then the other thing that we offer is there's 2 wing sizes. We're calling them the larger model is our patrol model. So that'll be good for like 3-gun shooters, or like patrol rifles, recce rifles, or if you just prefer the larger design. And then we have a CQB design, the smaller one we're calling CQB. A little bit smaller profile. I think it's 1/4 of an inch shorter total. But a little bit more compact design, all the same features, and then both available in black and FDE hard coat Type 3 anodizing, so the strongest of the strong, super awesome corrosion and wear resistance. Like I said, this one's been in my gun, in a machine gun for a lot of rounds, and it has no wear except for the spot that we bashed into a door frame.
Beat the hell out of it.
So there's like no wear marks even on like where it slides around and stuff. So we're getting anodized from some very, 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 very good anodizing companies. So 100% American-made aluminum, 100% made in America, made in Louisiana, assembled in Louisiana. All pins and springs are manufactured in America. So the charging handle is made in America, assembled in America, anodized in America. So we're all about keeping it in state and keeping it in country. So we're very proud of all that. And then again, we're still giving you all these features along with all these American-made parts for like $10 more than the modern charging handle,
like the premium ones.
The premium charging handles.
Very good. So then, okay. So now here's the next question. I know you guys have been wrangling with this, right? So website's going live soon. Okay. So be looking for the website. I'm sure it'll go out on socials when it's ready. But before that, how do people get on the list?
Yeah, so we do have a website right now.
Okay, so you do.
So we have a website. It's live. We're dealing with we're gearing up the website to be able to sell currently.
Oh, got it.
But
Okay.
the website is still. We do have a website. We've had a website like since we first got a prototype for Deadlock. So it's sentrymanufacturing.com, just like our socials, just like our name. And we have videos of the product. We have a lot of good information. Currently, if you see this before around the middle of August, you can go on our website and there'll be a sign-up list. That sign-up list is it's kind of like a pre-order form, but we're not charging you for it. It's basically like a spot hold.
Right.
So you put in your information, which one you want, and we'll give you first access to them whenever they come in. Our first order quantity is very small, so we want our local supporters as well as our podcast supporters and anybody that's been following Sentry Manufacturing since we started to be the first ones to have their hands on these things, because we think that they're gonna go like wildfire. Especially once we start sending them out to folks to review them and stuff. Because we've shown these to some pretty big influencers and reviewers, and they're like, oh, as soon as it's done, send me one.
Awesome.
Especially at SHOT Show, like, they were a hit. We did very, very well at SHOT Show with just a prototype. We had 4 prototypes. That's all that existed. And by the time we left SHOT Show, we had 1. Like, we had the bigger companies that were like, hey, this is awesome. They were like, can I have it? And it was like, yeah, we have a patent on it. So, yeah, why not go ahead and take it and wear it out and tell me what you think about it. So, we're going to get some influencer folks to review them. But yeah, www.sentrymanufacturing.com. If you're seeing this once it's live, it's going to be the same exact thing. You'll just be able to buy it off of there.
Right.
So it'll be seamless either way. Either you sign up for it or you actually buy it off the website. So if you do sign up for it, like I said, you'll receive an email. And if you already have signed up for one, thank you so much for your support. We really do appreciate it. It's giving us an idea of what we're looking at as far as manufacturing goes. But you'll get an email with an independent link to purchase your charging handle. And as soon as you purchase it, when our charging handles are in and assembled, you will have one with your name on it. So
not your name like embossed on it, right? Just
no,
like
not
you
engraved.
have it.
No, not engraved. Give us a shout. We could do that. But no, we'll have one sitting with your name on it. Either pick it up in store, or we'll ship it wherever you're at. No problem whatsoever. So. This is just the first of many as far as Deadlock goes. This product is the first of many. People have asked us about, hey, what about AR-10? Hey, what about this and that?
At the MPX or whatever.
Yeah,
it's coming.
It's coming. So AR-10, MPX, MCX is coming. As far as AR-10, we're doing the standard SR25 AR-10 platform. I know there's some like DPMS stuff that's a little bit different. That's a very niche market. We're probably going to stay out of it.
Right.
But like your standard AR-10, we will make one for it. The MCX and MPX, they are coming. They are currently being designed. And we also have some other stuff coming down the pipeline. And just something to remember based off of who we are, what our company is, all of our products are going to be like this. It's like, hey, there's a problem and we're going to fix it.
Sure.
And if we didn't fix it and it's something that everybody does and there is no fixing it to it, I promise you we're going to make it better.
Sure.
So that's our goal. And that's the entire, like what we stand behind as a company, is that we're here to make better products, and we're here to fix the problems that everybody's known that has existed.
Sure. That's cool. So here's the thing too. Use the code Brown Duke on the website, and if you do that, then I'll take a brown Sharpie and I'll mark it.
Yeah, JP will sign your package.
Right, I'll sign it in black that you won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
So, no, that's funny. No, but very cool. So in all seriousness, go to the website sentrymanufacturing.com. Hit them up on their socials, Instagram, Twitter. I'm going to drive people to Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm totally going to drive people to Twitter just because of what they've been doing to us outside of Sentry Manufacturing, right? If you want to get the most up-to-date information, I am going to, and Sam's probably going to kill me for saying this, but like go to Twitter, because that you will get information there, right? A lot of times, and we've seen it in the most recent past, shadow banning, real banning. Sentry Defense's page got completely canned.
Completely done. Like 7,000 followers we lost overnight.
They just deleted
just
the page.
Because they're like, hey, we don't want you to, we don't like guns, so here you go.
Yeah. And we were like, even like TikTok, we were doing like cool stuff for a while. Like we were posting like machine gun videos and like it was awesome. People were loving them. And like all of a sudden it was like, nope. Like last night, like I loaded some 50 AE for my Desert Eagle, and I put a video of me like loading the 50 AE, and like I like posted it, and it was like instant, like post ban.
Really?
And it was like, yep, because when they know my page now, like they know like I post gun stuff,
right?
And so like the second I post something, they instantly are like, nope, not for people. And you can do firearm stuff on TikTok, but like it's like they flagged it for like
showing how to make a round or something.
Showing how to make dangerous device or manufacturing of dangerous devices or unsafe handling of firearms.
Unsafe handling of firearms, so loading makes it unsafe.
I was like, I appealed it, and I was like, you're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about.
You're in China.
Yeah. So
you don't have guns.
So yeah,
that's true.
So,
that's right.
So Instagram and Twitter, hit us up. If you see this from the podcast, send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. We would love to hear what you think about it. Check out our website. Get in contact with us. Like I said, we're one of those companies, and we're those people that another goal of our company is like, no matter how big we get, and we pray we do, is that we expect customer service from companies that we use their products. So you'll get that from us. Like if somebody has a problem with one of these charging handles, no matter how big we get, if we're selling 30,000 of these a month, like if somebody has a problem with one of these, like me or Brandon wants to hear about it. Sure. I want to know what the issue is. That personal customer service is something that that will keep people coming back, and it's like my name's on this, Brandon's name's on this, like our name is on this. So we're extremely proud of it. We want to hear about any issues. We've seen it with the shop, right? Like customer service. Like if we send something back for repair, like Brandon's, like we talked about this one time, like Brandon's suppressor, his Surefire suppressor, like no problem saying it was Surefire.
Right.
I melted it to a table, and so I melted the button part, so he couldn't take it off. Right. Or he when he tried to.
I tried to. Like obviously.
Yeah, and he broke it. Yeah. So he broke a piece of it and sent it back to Surefire. Like, hey, look, I just need you to replace this little button on the collar, and they completely refinished the suppressor, cleaned out. I'm like, might have even just like remade all the baffles and everything, like brand new suppressor, and this thing was beat to hell.
Yeah, it was living on a machine gun, right? And I was like, hey, can you just send me this screw? Like, I want to replace it. Like just
a screw.
Send me the screw.
Yeah.
And I'll pay for it. And they're like, no, we can't send it to you. You got to send the silencer back. And usually whenever you hear that, you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Months,
Yep. So I sent it back for return, and they sent it back like 2 weeks later and like, hey, yeah, we took a look at it. We replaced the whole collar for you. We rebored the silencer and then re-cerakoted it, did everything that you
Amazing.
needed. Yeah. I was like, this is
sick. I sent my flashlight back to them, my bulb burnout on my stiletto, and I sent it back to them and was like, hey, I need like a new bulb and everything. And actually, like last week, it took about a week. They sent me a brand new one, like in the packaging. So like companies like that, like Surefire, you're awesome. Like that's the kind of customer service that we strive to have. Is like not just like, oh, well, you probably broke our charging handle. It's like, no, like I want to hear what's wrong with it, and I want to fix the problem. But then also like that personal level of like, if there's an issue, like I want to hear about it. I probably want to talk to the person, find out what's going on. Fusion's another company. The Fusion Thermals, like they're a big company. If you call them and you like, hey, I have a problem with my thermal, they're like, okay, hang on a second. They put you on hold, and the owner of the company picks up, and he's like, hey, what happened? That's the level of like customer service that we expect. So we're here to give to our customers.
Right. Absolutely. And that level of customer service is out there, right? Like for folks who are, and you may not find it in the like the value tier of, equipment.
Usually you don't,
right?
Right.
Usually.
Yeah. And this is a premium product, so you can expect premium service.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because all of us use premium, not for everything, but there are certain things that we have premium gear for. And generally speaking, and we can, maybe we'll do this in the next show, talk about, who has, the best experiences for warranties and these kinds of things. Sure. Right. But, for a premium product, you pay a premium, you can expect a premium. And I can tell you, these guys are going to give you that premium level service.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we definitely will. So please reach out to us on socials. Go sign up for the list if you haven't.
Socials. What are the socials?
Sentry Manufacturing on Instagram, Sentry Manufacturing on Twitter.
Manufact. Like they made you shorten the thing, right? Sentry Manufact.
I think so. Yeah, because it doesn't fit.
Yeah. My wife runs our social media, and she's incredible at it.
So we We just need to memorize what the things are.
Yeah, I just need to learn what our own company's.
The only reason I know that's because I tried to tag you in a video.
Yes. Sentry. It's at Sentry Manufact on Twitter. But like if you search Sentry Manufacturing, it'll also come up. So that's like our name, and then our @ is Sentry Manufact. So please reach out to us. Maybe I do actually. JP, you kind of inspired me for a good idea. We might do like a promo code when they come out. For Brown Duke. We might do that. Actually, I think we will do that. I like that idea.
No, watch out because they might charge you 10% more using that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I would say we do that, but I don't know like if we can actually do it on the computer side. So
I was gonna say
make sure we can do that on the computer side.
Yeah, just like don't send us all your money. Send us a check. No, we'll figure something out because we definitely love our supporters of this show and everybody that's been following. So we definitely will figure something out for the show.
For sure.
We'll get some kind of promo code.
And we'll get it. We'll shove it out there.
Yep,
we'll get everybody to know it.
For sure.
Awesome. Thank you guys. We will talk again soon.
Thank you.